Hello, guys, and welcome back to another stream. So we're going to be talking this week, obviously, about the Fed, talking about what's going to be happening on Wednesday. That is the big day we're all looking out for. And also, there's just a ton of earnings to be coming out this week in the stock market. So that's garnering a lot of attention. And we're seeing JPMorgan and Morgan Sachs massively disagreeing with what the actual result is going to be on the stock market. And then obviously we can kind of extrapolate that from the Fed data. How is that then going to affect our precious Bitcoin? So we'll get into all of that and more, also catching up with FTX and some of the news that they're being involved in. But anyway, how are you, AJ?
Good, yeah, doing well, thank you. Technical side of things, we are coming into support, so we'll be looking at that a little bit later on. But as Ben said, we've got a lot to talk about, and there's a lot going on this week as well.
Yeah, like a huge news, huge news. Probably one of the biggest news weeks we've had in a very, very long time. So just to jump straight in, so we see here headline, Morgan Stanley, JPMorgan disagree on outlook for Fed's pivot. So top Wall Street strategists disagree over the impact of weaker economic data on the Federal Reserve's policy outlook and what it'll mean for stocks. So Morgan Stanley, in a kind of nutshell, their strategists say that it's too early to expect the Fed to stop tightening its policy, even as fears of a recession grow. So this is very much, the higher basis point move. So looking at kind of those 1%, and then JPMorgan Chase have said, their strategists say that they bet that inflation has peaked and will lead to a Fed pivot and improve the picture for equities in the second half. So, I think that we are going to have a better economic environment in the second half, and I do think we're going to see crypto pump, which is something that I'm pretty excited about. AJ, just off the top of your head, we're not backing this by loads of research. When do you think we're going to see a little bit of a pump? Are you kind of aiming more for end of this year, maybe in a couple of weeks, or then going into maybe next year?
I think sort of end of this year, start of next year. That's sort of where I think it's we're going to start seeing that nice movement towards the upside, and I think we're going to have a pretty long period of consolidation before we see any major move towards the upside.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. We've been speaking about this quite a lot. But a few other key points from this article is that sticky inflation is what will keep the Fed hawkish for longer this time around. So that is actually true. That was from the guys at Morgan Stanley. So saying that, sticky inflation, which is true. And that's why I think it's really going to come down to this, the next kind of, report that we have. Over at JPMorgan, they said in a note on Monday that challenging activity momentum and softer labor markets could open doors to a more balanced Fed policy. So they're saying, look, well, if the unemployment is higher, then the Fed don't need to contract as much because they're going to have the desired effect and they're going to bring that core inflation down anyway. And that would lead to a peak in the US dollar and inflation. So you can see, there's a few more kind of bits here. I'm just going to go through at Generali. So one of their senior economists said that he expects the pace of rate hikes to slow after this week's meeting. So this could be the most severe. And then, if it is, let's say, a 1%, then from here onwards, we're not going to see a 1%. That's what Generali is saying. And to be honest, I kind of agree. I'm probably more in that camp. And then Jefferies LLC strategist Sean said that while the economic slowdown is building, he expects the pressure on stocks from tighter monetary policy to ease in the second half of the year. So he's saying maybe not yet, but potentially further down the line. And then we're kind of talking about, the other major bit of news that we're seeing this week. And I know I spoke about it yesterday, so I'm not going to talk about it today, but it's earnings. So JPMorgan, they have said that another factor that improves the outlook for equities in the second half of the year is the changing reaction to earnings, where weaker results can start being seen as good news. However, on the other side of the camp, back in Morgan Stanley, Wilson disagrees, saying that earnings estimates for S&P 500 firms are still too high and that the second quarter is likely to be the first of several disappointing quarters before estimates finally trough. So basically what he's saying is, look, we're still going to see more downside, more disappointments in earnings in the next probably 2-3 quarters. So leading us into kind of having a bottom at the beginning of next year and then starting to rise to the upside. So very opposing, kind of opposing views there. But AJ, do you want to walk us through what we can see here? This is the asset inflow in millions of dollars into different cryptos.
Yeah. So at the moment, we are seeing a lot of inflows into Bitcoin. Especially this week. Bitcoin, we can see 19 million, Ethereum 8.1 million. So we are seeing a lot of accumulation happening at the moment. And that's sort of, what we tend to see when we consolidate at lows like we are now. We've seen this, I've showed you this twice before, when the price cycle bottom indicator does flip bearish, we do then get a long period of consolidation. And what tends to happen there is we see a lot of accumulation. This is where all of those, big companies are sort of accumulating, and the big whales are accumulating, waiting for that bull market to start. So I am not surprised that we are seeing a lot of inflows into Bitcoin and Ethereum, especially. I'm sure a lot of institutions are sort of getting into the market now, sort of dollar cost averaging into the market now, because to be honest with you, it is a really, really great time to be getting into the market.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one other thing that I want to kind of point out here is that, we're looking towards, so short Bitcoin is, obviously not as much as long Bitcoin, but out of multi-asset and into particular projects. And I think that's on the basis that, with Ethereum, obviously everyone's talking about the merge. But I think now we're going to have more emphasis on these smart contract coins, as you see here, Cardano and also Solana. So out of multi-asset and now into specific coins. And again, it's like we always say, it's usually Bitcoin that jumps first and then the rest follow. I think, as we go further along, Bitcoin and Ethereum will both pump together. And then obviously you can see from, it's more than double into Bitcoin. But yeah, I think we're going to see that and then slowly a bit more money coming into these alts here. And just a little bit of exchange data. So the reserves have decreased and there's lower selling pressure, which obviously is very, very good for us and the price of Bitcoin. But the outflows have been higher, which, to be honest, is actually not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing having money come out. Maybe people are buying it, maybe people are storing it. And I'm, inclined to think that way because of the fear and greed index.
Yeah.
So seeing that it's much higher now, kind of away from extreme fear, which always is very good. But we're going to jump into some technicals now, I believe. Probably a good time
we can take a quick look at some technicals. So a lot of sort of happened since yesterday. We have got that pullback, and we are coming into this major support level here. Ben, yesterday I said the likelihood of it is we were going to get a rejection from this level here and come down, potentially testing the support level. And exactly what I said is playing out. We came very, very close to the support level here. We didn't quite make it, but there's still a possibility that we could come down and test the support level. The indicators are getting sort of oversold. The RSI isn't, it's in the vicinity of being oversold, but it isn't, quite as oversold as I would like to see it. But we can see that the stochastic and the stochastic RSI are getting oversold. So I would, expect the price to maybe come down a little bit lower, test this support level here, maybe test the bottom of the channel before we then see, any sort of price action towards the upside. But I think, over the next few days, potentially the Bitcoin could be ranging between this resistance here and this support, and within this downwards channel here, before we do see a potential breakout. I did draw out this yellow line this morning, which would signal that this is not a falling channel, that it is actually a falling wedge pattern, because this morning we were actually getting a nice bounce off of that level, and it lines up perfectly as well. 3 touches on this support level here. So we could have called this and we still can, call this a falling wedge. But as of right now, the price seems to be coming down again. So if we break to the downside here, I would then, get rid of that line and then just be looking at this again as a falling channel, which is still very bullish. And, we've got lots of support along this level as well. So coming down and testing it again is something that I think, is pretty likely. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, hopefully we can find lots of support along this level here, because previously, it has been support. And before that, it has been resistance. So I'm looking at the price sort of holding this level here. If we did come down to it, also the VPVR, the red line here, the value high is sat just slightly under that support. So this is going to be a very, very major support level. So that's sort of everything I've got on the 4 hour. If we move on to the daily now, Ben, I'm sure you can agree with me here. This is a very, very important chart that we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting at that support now. Previous resistance, major resistance previously, and this is sort of the decider. I think if we can hold this here, then I don't think we are going to see any lows or any sign to see any more lows in sort of the immediate in the short term future. But if we do break below here, there is that possibility. We can call this a fake out, and then there's a possibility we can come down and test this support level here again. And if we do, break that support, that is, going to be extremely bearish for us, because this is a major daily support level. So we want to be holding that level. If we can hold this level here, that would be great. Get a nice bounce off that level and continue this price action to the upside that we have been seeing over the past 2-3 weeks. So if we take a look at the indicators are telling us, they are coming down slightly, but we aren't in that, we haven't reset. We're not in that oversold vicinity. So there is a possibility that we could break this and come down further, resetting those indicators. But there also is a possibility that, we could find support, because the technical pattern is telling us that there is major support here. And then the indicators can flip again and sort of get into that overextended vicinity as we start seeing the price come up. So today is going to be a very, very important day. This candle close is going to be very important. We have 11 hours and 24 minutes left. If we can find support here, for me, that's going to be very, very bullish. But I would be waiting to see if we can get that bounce before sort of taking any action on a trade, on a potential trade. So I'd wait for that, next green candle bouncing off this level before even thinking about, putting in a long position. But yeah, for me right now, we just need to hold this level on this support level here.
I think we're going to have like it's either going to be a very big reaction, because obviously on Wednesday, which is in 2 days' time, we are going to see a lot of volatility, and that depends on that Fed rate as well. So even if we do see an initial sign, I think we'll probably be a little bit more cautious. So technical, because the technical pattern might play out really well, but if you're 1 day away from the Fed releasing such big news, it's probably worth maybe put like a limit order or something. But yeah,
having protection as well, having that.
Well, always use protection. Always use protection.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know you wanted to jump onto another chart. Let's do that.
Yeah, so this is another very important chart. We talked about this pi cycle bottom that has flipped, but what we're looking at is the 200 MA. Previously, major support dating all the way back to 2015. So this is going to act as major resistance. And what we can see, yesterday we did actually get a candle close on that 200 MA, and as of today, it looks as of last week, we got a touch on the 200 MA. We got a close on the 200 MA, and as of this week so far, we are getting a rejection from that. But there is 6 days and 12 hours left of this weekly candle, so a lot can change in that time. But this week is going to be a very important week. Lots of things happening on the technical side of things and on the fundamental side of things. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this. If we break to the upside, for me, I think that's going to be, bullish, and we can, start seeing the price maybe come up to, $28,500. I mentioned that a few videos ago, but we have to get above this 200 MA for that even to really be in play. Because if we get rejected here, then I think, we're going to come back down, maybe test 19,000, 20,000 again, and sort of consolidate, throughout the rest of this year below this 200 MA before, getting that break to the upside. So we'll see what happens towards the end of this week. But as of right now, we're getting a slight rejection. But as I said, 6 days, 12 hours, a lot can happen. Moving on quickly to Ethereum. We are forming this channel on Ethereum as well. So it is actually a bearish pattern. This is because it is a rising channel. If we do break to the downside, it is potential. There's a potential short that we could take, but you can see lots and lots of resistance here, respecting it very, very well, and lots of support as well. So if there's a break to the upside, I think that'll be a good longing opportunity, because we have so much resistance here, and it's been respected almost to the dollar each time. But yeah, if we do break to the downside, is another good shorting opportunity, because as I said, this is a bearish pattern. Zooming out, if we were to break to the downside, I think we could potentially find support at $1,400, because previously I've showed you that this level has been very, very strong resistance, but also support, and I think that personally for me, it is going to be very strong resistance. I know we did smash through it support. I know we did smash through it when we were below it, but yeah, I think it's going to be a big level for us to hold. If we can't hold that though, then I'm looking at the $1,240 level approximately. That's been major resistance previously, so it is going to act as support as well. But yeah, it all depends on sort of what happens in the meetings this week as well, and it all sort of what it all depends on what Bitcoin is going to do as well. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on Bitcoin this week, and sort of looking at every little bit of detail we can see. Sorry.
So also the Nasdaq as well.
Yes, yeah, definitely. We spoke about this, that's coming to resistance here. Not quite touch that resistance level. You could argue that you could bring resistance down slightly and then it would have touched. But yeah, this is major resistance here. And as of right now, we are seeming to be getting that rejection from this resistance level. And if we do, we could see some more price action towards the downside on the Nasdaq, which will then follow in with the crypto market as well, follow through into the crypto market. We will most likely see the crypto market follow that Nasdaq, continue to follow that Nasdaq, because we know how correlated they are.
Yeah. And that is exactly it, and so that's why I think the earnings will be very, very, poignant for us, because we have the likes of, it's all of them. It's literally Fang, apart from, I don't even know when Netflix did actually, but it's literally all of the the major. It's Facebook, it's Amazon, it's Microsoft, it's Apple, it's Google. So there is going to be an awful lot going on this week in terms of news that's coming out, and then obviously, like I said, so on Wednesday we have that Fed rate decision, and then we have the GDP growth coming out on, I think it's on the Thursday. No, Wednesday. Yeah. So Wednesday is the Fed rate decision. Thursday is the GDP growth. So quarter over quarter.
Yeah.
And basically, they're predicting that they will have actually grown, the economy. But previously it was down by 1.6%. So they're hoping that they've grown to 0.4%, which is that's a whole 2% difference. So if I think that's what a lot of people will be looking at. And then you've got GDP across Europe. So Germany, Italy as well, Spain as well, on Friday, I believe it is, and also core inflation across the Euro area, and also. I think that's pretty much like the kind of the major bits, really.
So the 26th is the FOMC meeting, and Microsoft and Google earnings. 27th is the Meta earnings, and
Yep.
the 28th is the US Q2 GDP release. So that's a Thursday, I think, not a Friday.
Yep, that is the Thursday. But no, so it's on on the Wednesday, the Fed rate decision. So no one really knows. No one really knows, to be honest. It's kind of expected, or it's forecast to be a 75 basis point hike. That is kind of the consensus at the moment. But we've known that they've done drastic things before to try and get inflation under control. So we don't really know. Like I said, 100 basis points is going to be very bearish initially, but then quite quickly flip bullish. And then I think 75 basis points will be bullish initially, and then quickly flip bearish. That's my personal prediction there. But there you go.
We'll see how the market reacts to it.
There you go. So we will be online as well, guys. So obviously make sure that you hit the notification button so that you do get that notification whenever we do go live. But apart from that, we will see you tomorrow, give you a full update and kind of how we can plan for this. Also looking out for some of the almost died, almost choked. Just shut down like mid-sentence. But then, we will be telling you exactly the effect that we've seen on the NASDAQ, because today, obviously the markets are not open in the US, but today we do have companies reporting in the US. So that's going to be something that we want to look out for as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that will affect Bitcoin.
It will.
There you go. All right, guys. Thanks very much for joining. Pleasure to see you, and see you tomorrow.
Make sure you smash that like button for us. It does really help.
And subscribe.
Yeah.
Make sure you do that. All right, guys. Take care. See ya.
Thank you for watching.